If you found this video, you probably identify as a book lover and maybe even a booktuber. I'm making this video today to help you read more books deeply during the upcoming year. So, reading is important, and I'm sure you already know that, but there are plenty of small improvements we can make in order to get the most out of the books that we give our time to. All of this is something I used to tell my undergraduate students at Johns Hopkins. So let's get a move on. If you're someone who likes to brag about the number of books you've read, then I am probably not your guy, and this is probably not your video. I'm here for the people who are interested in reading books. The people who, for obvious reasons, love reading books, but who care most about reading books deeper and about getting the absolute most out of every book they read, meaning reading for quality instead of quantity. And if you stick around until the end of this video, you'll have the tools and the perspective you need to optimize the time you spend reading books. So let's dive in. He licked me in my mouth. I want you to walk away from every book you read feeling like you've been reborn, feeling like your world has changed for the better forever. I doubt that I need to explain to you why reading for quality is better than reading for quantity. To be brief, as I see it, everyone has a threshold, meaning that after they read X number of books, their comprehension and their ability to draw on what they've read drops to near zero. Okay, maybe not zero, but not a great number. And to use the words of the famed 20th century historian Daniel Boorstin, the greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance, it is the illusion of knowledge. And speaking from personal experience, this is oftentimes what happens when we place a greater emphasis on quantity-centric reading than quality-centric reading. The illusion of knowledge. Knowledge. This is a concept I hope you'll remember long after watching and forgetting about this video. Although I do hope that you'll remember me, my dear viewer. We're told from a young age that reading makes us smarter, and I think that's true. So that's the end of this video. You heard it here, folks. Reading books makes you smart. Just kidding, but if you read without intentionality, if you place a greater priority on the quantity of books you read, you are setting yourself up for something worse than ignorance. You're setting yourself up for the illusion of knowledge. So you might read 100 books in a year, but what if, after about a week's time, you forget the particularities and the complexities of the text? Nobody wants that. So how can you read deeper? How can you remember and weave together all of those complicated thoughts and connections? Fortunately, we've got just the trick, and we're going to tell you all about it now. Enter the commonplace book, the personal encyclopedia, the reading journal, the bullet journal, the writer's journal. There are many names for what I'm talking about. Why does it exist, and why has every great mind from Confucius to Toni Morrison to Da Vinci used it? It exists because your brain is pretty bad at doing what is its most crucially important job, which is to say at holding on to complicated information for the sake of conscious recollection. Side note, if you've ever tried keeping a commonplace book or a reading journal, let us know about your experience in the comment section down below, and we will pick a few of our favorites and talk about them in an upcoming video. One day you're reading Swan's Way. I'm gonna do a fast jump. And you think a particular collection of pages is beautiful because they are beautiful. And then a week goes by and somebody could ask you about it, and it's as if you never even bothered to pick up the book in the first place. This is why you need a tool, something to help you store those critical reflections that you have while you're reading great literature and difficult books. He's killing it. You're doing so good. I'm running out of peanuts. You need a personal encyclopedia to deposit and document your unique notes and thoughts, your personal reflections on the books that you've sunk your teeth into, as well as the weird connective tissue between the different books you've read. If you want to read deeper and learn more from the books you read, you need those things to be documented. And you need to return to what you document. Again. Why? Because your brain is a very stupid clump of cells. It is always occupied by silly things. Silly things that are, how do I say this, not literature. So you need an efficient system to store your information. A few years ago, before I started keeping a commonplace book, the only time I wrote when I was reading was in the margins. Then I realized I needed some sort of centralized system. So I started with a notebook. Then I tried OneNote and I tried Notion, and neither of those worked. I tried Microsoft Word, Google Docs, Sheets, Microsoft Excel. It was a terrible experience and a very dark time in my life. But eventually I returned to a trusty notebook, something that was small enough to carry with me wherever I go. Like this one, which the incredible writer Danielle Evans made for me and my cohort when I was in graduate school at Johns Hopkins. So shouts out to Danielle, her books are great, links are in the description. She is a bestseller, I mean it, check her out. So I went back to a regular notebook because it felt impersonal and almost inaccessible to be using an online commonplace book. I learned pretty quickly that I enjoy writing by hand and scratching a pen point against a piece of paper. A soft, soft piece of paper. And I also know there's research suggesting that we retain more information for a longer period of time when we write by hand. So it isn't easy to keep things organized when they're written in a notebook, but I bridge the gap by continually reading and rereading the book. That's how I read deeper. I read the text and I read my thoughts about the text. And eventually I feel like things have a way of just kind of coming together. I'm continually refreshing my memory, revisiting my ideas and creative insights and adding to them. I try to treat my commonplace books, my reading journals, my bullet journals, my personal encyclopedias as if they were real books. That's what works for me, but it might not work for you. So maybe you should check out OneNote or Notion or just stick to a regular old notebook. My point is, see what works for you. I'm not going to tell you how to keep a commonplace book. All I want to tell you is to read the books that you actually want to read, and then read those books deeper by systematizing the recording of your insights. And that is the truth of the matter, the central idea of this video. If you truly want to read deeper and get the most out of every book you read, you need to have a system in place in order for you to organize the ideas you encounter along the way. Otherwise, you will forget everything. Again, like I said earlier in the video, the further you move from the book that inspired a thought, the more likely you are to forget that thought. Don't trust your brain because your brain does whatever it wants. But again, you need a system in order to store your insights as they appear before you. Everybody's different, so try a few different options and figure out what works best for you, whether it's a notebook or something online. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you'll like and subscribe. And I also hope you'll check out this playlist with all of the recent videos I've made about reading. All right.